Good morning, everyone. So today is officially week 1 of the Sirdar Crochet Along, the Christmas Crochet Along, and the pattern has released. It's very early in the morning. I have a little bit of time to knock out before I have to go to work, so I'm going to see how much I can get done. So I have the pattern pulled up here on my computer, and what we're starting with is the nice list, and it calls for the color Zest, cream, and black. I'm going to use some old, it's not that old, but some old cakes from some of the previous CALs. I already have some Zest and some black, so just instead of breaking into another skein of yarn, I'm going to use up some of that stash, and I don't have any cream, so I'm gonna have to get into the cream from the official yarn box. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started and see how much I can get done before work this morning. Alright, I just finished the first row. It is doing foundation double crochet. I've never done that before, so I had to watch the supplemental video that Sirdar puts out. But I think it looks rather nice. You can see that there. So yeah, let's just continue on making the rest of the rows, and I'll check back in. Alright, hello. So it is later in the day, and I did not, in fact, check in before I actually left to work, and I did bring this to work with me and worked on it during lunch. So here is where we're at so far. When I left this morning, I finished pretty much right here. I was just starting the bottom of the nice list, and I was able to get this far into it. I think you have to do like 34 rows, and I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 since starting the nice list. So I've gotten pretty far. Don't know if you hear my puppy, but he's upset that I'm not giving him attention. I did want to point out something that was weird. So the designer, she recommends doing 2 balls of the zest, so you're not carrying the yarn and you're not making bobbins, which it just makes life easier. I totally get it. So I know I said I was going to use up my stash of zest, and I did start that. But I brought the ball that came in, or the skein that came in with the yarn pack, and I did a center pull like I always. I just prefer the center pull, so I did that. And it just a little bit like barfed out at me, and so I guess it really wanted to have a bobbin, so it created one for me for itself. Don't know how that happened, but I just thought that was funny and I wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm about to make dinner and eat and walk the doggos, give them some attention, and then I'll be able to get started back on the nice list. So hopefully I can finish this tonight. That would be super awesome. And if not, then it's tomorrow, which, I mean, I'm not gonna say no to having to crochet more tomorrow. So yeah, I'll check back in when I get to work on this. Good morning. Last night I was able to finish the nice list. As you can see here, I'm trying to keep up with this cowl. In the previous cowls I did not keep up. I started out pretty good, but then got distracted. So, hi puppers. So really trying my best to stay on top of it, and so I stayed up a little later than I probably should have to finish this, but I got it done. Alright, and then I did start on the next piece. Watch out. And I got one of the granny squares done. It's a little bit, but yeah, this is pretty much done. I'll probably end up blocking it just so it straightens out a little bit more. And then I already started on the second one. So you need 2 of these. And then after this, I think it's just making all the wheels for the trains. And there's 32 of those. Luckily, I think there's only 2 rounds. Let me double check for that. Yeah, there's 2 rounds for the train wheels, and actually there's 2 different colors. There's the where you have the blue and the royal and the cream colors, and then the emerald and the cream, for a total of 32. So after I finish this granny square, I will start working on those, but those should work up pretty quickly. And then I'm gonna try, hopefully I don't get too lazy, but try to just weave in my ends. That way that will save me some time at the end when I'm connecting everything together. So fingers crossed that I can stay on track. Alright, here is the granny squares attached to the nice list with the edging done. So I already weaved in the ends for one side. Hi puppers. Hi puppers. For one side of the edging. And as you can see, I need to do the other side. So let's do that. But somebody wants to play, so I'll have to play with him and check in after that. So I'll be right back. Alright, I just finished the last train wheel of the 30 train wheels in total that you have to make. And so with that, that's actually going to be the end of today's video. So before I actually sign off, I want to show you everything that was done for the first week of the Sirdar Crochet Along pattern. So the first thing you do is you make, and in the pattern it has you actually join the panels together. Well, they're not panels, it's the two solid granny squares and then the nice panel. So it's, I'll fold it so you can see it properly. So it is this nice panel that you create, and then you sew on, you make two solid granny squares and you sew it onto either end, and that is done. And then after you sew those together, you do some edging along the sides, and that is just to help with connecting it later, I assume. The designer said that the stitch count for the edging, it needs to be exact, so I'm guessing that's because we're going to connect it onto something later. So that is done, and kudos to me because I did weave in my ends, but I have all the ends. Let me see if I can get them all here. I have all these train wheels. So as you can see, there are some in the color royal and then some in the color, I believe it's emerald. You make 15 of each color for a total of 30. The designer on the video, there's a supplemental video to crochet along with. She said her tail from her magic circle usually is quite long, so she'll weave in all the other tails. So like when you joined in the white, and at the end you have these two tails. If she just uses the center circle or center yarn tail to attach the wheel, me personally, I feel like that's gonna make the wheel really floppy and not like adhere to the blanket. So I'm actually going to leave all of these tails so I can use them to help sew the wheel on a little more. That's probably gonna give me a lot more work, but I just am feeling like that's gonna be more secure in the long run instead of just having the one tail. But it's definitely user preference, so that's just what I'm going to do. That'll give me a little bit of sanity. Got a extra little piece there, but so I'm technically done. I know there's some yarn tails to weave in, but it's part of my design, part of my undoing maybe. We'll see how tired I get of it when we actually start joining all the panels together, but that's a future me problem. That's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to continue to follow along with me as I make this Sirdar Crochet Along, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on next week's video. I hope to see y'all there.